Hi guys! Welcome back to another painting tutorial. Today we'll be doing a simple landscape and I chose some foggy pine trees forest. We will only be using a few colors today and most of them you can actually classify this painting as monochromatic or minimalist type of painting. So the colors that we'll be using are as follows. We have black, white, this is red, yellow, and orange. Actually, my only purpose why I had some red here is in case I ran out of orange, I can mix my red with my yellow so that I get the orange color. But I'll be using yellow color separately, so I won't be adding anything to that. So pure yellow, I will also be using that. And we have this burnt sienna and what do you call this? Ultramarine blue. And of course titanium white, but the titanium white we will be using that a little bit later. So for now, let's just underpaint first my canvas, and I'm gonna use for the underpainting. Actually guys, I really don't know how to begin this one, but so I'm just getting my white. All right, so I'm just gonna start by getting my orange color, tiny bit of black, do not add too much. All right, again orange, tiny bit of yellow, okay, again white, something like this color. And I'm just gonna use this to make some brush strokes like this. As you can see, the brush strokes that I'm using are quite circular. Now probably some of you are worrying too much if you're gonna damage your paintbrush. Well, I don't mind guys, I don't mind, because my paintbrush, I love them, but I want them to really give me that service that they ought to give me, and that is for me to create a beautiful painting by actually using them, you know. Some of you probably won't agree to that, but it's all right, it's up to you guys. So I just add some tiny bit of burnt sienna to my orange color. Again, I'm making some round or circular patterns like this because we will be creating some fog, and we don't want any strict or super strict what do you call this, defined lines. We actually want them to be quite blended and like soft, right? So up to here, like that. This is just the underpainting, but I already want some blending happening or going on here. So like this. All right. Using this same color mixture, I'm just gonna get more yellow this time, and then orange, and of course white. So let's see if this is going to work. I'm gonna go here from this side. Again, just circular. Like so. Alright, like that. I'm just gonna make it quite light up here. If you have an old brush, you can actually use that for this purpose. I'm not really suggesting that you use your fresh or new brush for this, because I must admit it's quite damaging to your brush. But then again, what's the point of having brush if you cannot create out of it, right? All right, I'm gonna go right here on top of the dark orange colors that I just created earlier. Again, we're trying to create some fog, and of course for now these brush strokes do not make any sense, but later they will, promise you guys. All right, same color. I'm just gonna add more white. right here. So I'm dry brushing. I don't know if you can hear that on camera. The sound that my brush is actually creating whenever I do the circular brush strokes. Like this. Alright, like that. Alright, I'm gonna get some ultramarine blue. I would like to go right here to suggest some blue skies. It's not really blue, but some sort of blueness. Okay, like that. Wash your brush out. I'm gonna get my cad yellow, a lot of white, okay, tiny bit of orange, just to be consistent with the general color of this painting. And that is like foggy browny colors. Again, we're just gonna dry brush if your brush is quite wet. So I'm just gonna suggest that you get a towel like mine. I have a huge rag here, and you just damp it on your rag to allow the water to get absorbed by the towel, and then try to dry brush by making circular motions or circular brush strokes. And I think I already ran out of my white, so we will be using a lot of white actually. I thought we won't be using a lot of it. That's why I told during the intro of this video, I told you guys that we will only be using white later, but I think I was wrong. I think I'll be using a lot of white already. Okay, so get short orange. Again, just keep coming back to some areas like this. Alright, like that. Okay, now I want you to get your fan brush. I have here my stiff fan brush. So I'm just gonna use this to create some pine trees. And we're gonna start from the most distant area here. So I'm just gonna get my black, like so. You can add tiny bit of orange or red to that, so that it's not, you know, super black, if you know what I mean, guys. So just, and then I'm just gonna dab it on. I'm just gonna paint some pine trees. We will only be using or doing shapes. We're not really doing detailed pine trees, guys. We will only be using shapes. So I hope you're following along. And FYI, guys, I have here beside me my hair dryer, just to dry things a little bit faster when I want to layer already. So I'm just making some irregular triangles to suggest some pine trees. And make your pine trees like in different sizes. Make some tall pine trees, make some small pine trees. And as you go near you, make your pine trees look a little bigger. Remember, guys, perspective. As we go farther, the object becomes more suggestive than detailed. As we go nearer, yeah, they become more detailed. We will be glazing over some pine trees, so Don't you worry. The distant or the most distant pine trees will be glazed over later to suggest more fogginess from the distance. And I'm gonna just dab on some black like paint here. Alright, and then I'm gonna get my pure black. Alright, pure black. Let's create some very near, super near pine trees. So this is actually very, very easy. You know, we can finish this in no time. So I'm just gonna color the remaining portion of my canvas with some black. Like so. All right, like that. So I'm just gonna cover it in black. Again, the nearer the object, the more detailed they become. But since our painting is more of a silhouette type of painting, we really don't have to worry too much about close-up details. We only have to worry about shapes, actually. Like so. Right. All right. Now, we're just gonna make sure that everything is quite dry because we don't want to mess it up by, what do you call this? Smearing over some paint. So I'm just gonna use my hair dryer to dry things quite fast. So excuse the noise, guys. Yay! That's like what? Done already. Alright, so I'm gonna make sure that my brush is quite perfectly clean. And I'm gonna remove the excess water by dumping it onto my towel. And we're gonna dry brush again. This time we'll be glazing some areas right here again to give some perspective, to emphasize more perspective by making the distant trees more foggy than those near us or near the or down your canvas. So I need my white. So I'm just gonna make sure that I have a lot of white paint. All right, like that. So that's enough. Again, dry brushing. I'm gonna get my pure white. I'm gonna add yellow to that, like so. And then tiny bit of orange, like so. But then again, you have to have a lot of white. And we're gonna dry brush. Again, for dry brushing, you just have to make sure that your brush is damp, not super wet, just damp, you know, wet enough for the paint to spread on the canvas, but dry enough to create that soft cloud-like patterns. All right, we're not making clouds, we're making fog, but they are of the same like category, painting wise. I'm gonna have to add more white because my paint is quite yellow right there. So again, I'm just gonna dry brush. Like so. Again, look at how I create this. Patterns, very circular, right? So we're gonna glaze over those trees, distant trees, but we're not really painting over them to cover the whole thing. We're just going to suggest that it's under. It can still be seen. All right, like that. And then I'm gonna get my orange, okay? I'm gonna add a tiny bit of brown to that and still dry brushing, but this time I'm gonna add more white, maybe yellow. All right, you can add a tiny bit of red. I'm just mixing everything that I have here on my palette. And I'm just gonna go and, you know, trial and error, guys. All right, I'm gonna have to add more white. All right, just like that. All right, maybe more white because my orange is quite pigmented. Like so. So again, the circular patterns. This is like creating an abstract piece with an obvious sense. You know that? I said that because, you know, abstract, they don't normally make sense right away unless you make some interpretation out of it or how you feel about it. But with this one, it feels like I'm making an abstract piece, but actually telling my viewer what it is already. I hope that makes some sense. I'm gonna get my orange. I'm gonna make some trees appear a little orangey. Also here, I'm just going to paint some orange on top of those trees. Like so. Again, make sure to not paint over them, but just glaze, you know? Glaze. Like. Okay, I'm gonna get my ultramarine blue and then orange. Ultramarine. We're going to, alright, this is quite dark, but I'm just gonna have to use my finger to kind of blend. Like that. It's like some trees are covered by fog. Right. Okay, wash your brush out. And sorry guys, I have to pull down my window blinds. All right, so please wait. All right. Okay, so I just did that one. Okay. I want to make my trees more detailed, so I'm just gonna use my pointy brush and go back to some trees that I have here and just try to be a little bit more detailed when it comes to the shape, so that we don't lose the pine trees feel to our painting. Like so. Right like that. Like that. I'm gonna use my red and browns. I'm just gonna create some tiny small detail of like mountain, like that. And I'm gonna dab on some orangey colors right here. To suggest more fogginess. All right, like that. I'm gonna have to add some yellow colors. Oh, that's really bad. I just added black. All right, I'm gonna have to delete that. Okay. All right, let's go back to dry brushing. I like it. But we need more detail, guys. Okay, I'm gonna get my white and then yellow. White and yellow. Then dry brush, so like so. Like this. And here as well. Here. Okay, get your orange. Maybe you can add brown. And use your fingers to blend. I'm gonna add white. So the circular brush strokes that we have here actually create the fogginess that we're kind of trying to achieve. All right. Like that. All right, I'm gonna get my orange. So it's just like that. And then my brown. create some more suggestion of distant trees. Again, just brown or your burnt sienna, in other words. Like that. Okay. All right. I'm gonna use my yellowy colors down here. And then some white. All right. I'm gonna get my black. Okay, this black will help me make some more volume for my pine trees. And I'm gonna randomly apply those black on the empty spaces because we want to suggest fogginess. I kind of like this one. It's very simple. Right? Oh, nice. This is so nice. I did not expect it. Alright, so I'm gonna wash my brush. Okay. I'm gonna get some browny orangey color mixture, maybe add tiny bit of yellow. And then red. Something like this. And don't forget the white. Always add white to make the color more visible. Again, I'm gonna dry brush like so. All right, like that. Oops, I think I scattered some paints, but it's okay. Okay, I'm gonna get my red and I'm gonna water it a bit and add some red colors down here. As you can see, I'm just using my fingers to blend like that. Okay, I'm gonna dry this first because I want to make sure that when I do some more layering, I don't smear any paint. I think that will do. So I'm just gonna use my foliage brush. I've been using this ever since day one of my painting. So I'm just gonna use a round stiff brush and dab it onto my white. Alright, like so. And maybe a tiny bit of orange, like so. Alright, again, just dab it on. Again, this is just for purposes of dry brushing. So I'm just gonna brush it this way. So you can see there's a good amount of difference when you're just using your ordinary brush for fog. But when you're using a round brush, you're kind of getting that effect that you actually like. So I like this brush. If you don't have this brush, for sure you have an old brush that is thick. And just use it, make sure that it's quite stiff. All right. I'm gonna use my orange. So, like so. Okay, like that. And then I'm gonna use my yellows and white. All right, like so. Let's try to go back. Make some more fog. Get your burnt sienna, guys. Just try to kind of blend. Like that. All right. That's nice. Really, really nice. I like this one. It's very simple. It's very simple, guys. Okay. I'm gonna get my black, and I'm just gonna fix some foreground trees because I think I glazed some of the leaves silhouette right here. Just gonna make sure that's still more visible compared to those distant trees. So I'm just retouching it. Nothing new, I'm just retouching. Okay. Wash your brush out. And actually I kind of like this to be more like that, like not really super visible, so I'm just gonna make it quite orangey. Like so. Like that. Okay, again, your black. Oops, that's too much black. Too much black. We don't want any too much black. So I'm just spreading it. Again, some suggestion of covered trees. So make some dark markings. Okay, I'm gonna mix my black and my burnt sienna like so. Maybe a tiny bit of orange, again burnt sienna. All right, and I'm gonna use that to create more distant trees. Like that. They are merely suggestions. All right, wash your brush out. I'm gonna make some quite visible trees. Not all of them, just some of them. Like that. Right. Okay, more yellow, light yellows. Then white. All right, like that. Absolutely nice. I think this is good. And this is done, right? All right, more fogginess right here. Excuse me, guys. Gosh, I love this one. Right? Absolutely. Very simple, yet like very beautiful. All right, so I guess I have to sign this now. I'm just gonna use my remaining white here because I have a lot of white, and I'll just sign it right here. Quite watery. And we're done. Wow, so simple but very beautiful. So we're done, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one because I really did. So thank you for watching.